All right, let's do the Joshua Charles tweet. This one, man, if you guys haven't seen this one, Josh, well, we'll play the video first, but Josh has a way of presenting the exact same ideas a lot of people do without being bombastic. And he presents them in a serious way where if you're really paying attention, it's like, oh, wait, wait, the church fathers warned us about all of this. So let's play the Bibi Netanyahu video and then we'll go from there. You guys are cool, but I have no idea what's going on. Well, you kind of have to probably watch from the beginning of the episode to understand most of it. But
well, actually, they have been here since the beginning. So really, you might have to watch since the beginning of like 3 years ago.
I try to bring this stuff down to like layman's level because I'm a layman and I'm not that smart. If I could grasp this stuff, you guys should be able to.
It's not kosher wine, so
it's not kosher wine. I'm sad they don't ship anti-Semitic wine to my state.
Okay, here's the video.
We want to know what you're reading now.
What I'm reading?
Yeah.
It's a book by a historian by the name of Barry Strauss. It's called The Jews Against Rome. Jews Against Rome.
What made you pick it up?
Well, we lost that one. I think we have to win the next one.
We want to know what you're reading now.
Talking about the destruction of the temple in 70 AD, the Jews versus Rome. Well, we lost that one, but we have to win the next one. So let's get into what Josh has to say about this. So from a theological perspective, this is an extremely interesting video released by Netanyahu's press office account on Instagram. I took the screen record myself from their account because I wanted to ensure it was genuine and not AI. The traditional Jewish perspective is that the enemy of the Jewish people, Edom, is now identified with Rome, which is often associated with Christendom, the Catholic Church, etc. This identification is because of Rome's destroying the temple in 70 AD. There will be a final end times clash between the Jewish people and Edom, in which the Messiah will defeat Edom. I found many rabbis discuss this in my own study of Jewish eschatology. This is the more interesting given my study of the catacomb or the restrainer mentioned by St. Paul in Thessalonians 2, which holds back the coming of the Antichrist. The majority interpretation of the church fathers is that the catacomb is in some sense the Roman Empire. This was further refined by various fathers, theologians, scholastics, etc., to indicate something connected with the church. I personally believe it is preeminently Christendom, and that Christendom, centered on the Church of Rome, the Catholic Church, in both its spiritual and temporal aspects, is the primary thing which restrains the coming of Antichrist. Additionally, the fathers are unanimous that the Jews will, at least at first, believe Antichrist is the Messiah. See note below. It's a huge topic that I can't do justice to in a short post, but I've been researching and writing a great deal about it for several years now. I will have more in the coming months. Suffice it to say, once this catacomb is removed, Antichrist comes, and if the catacomb is in some sense Rome, the Antichrist is initially received by the Jews as Messiah. Well, that's interesting, as they say. The convergence of Jewish and Catholic interpretation on this question, though obviously expressing it from opposite sides, where apparently the Messiah is one of the Antichrist of the other, is something that should not be ignored. An important note, ultimately, the church fathers unanimously say that the Jews will initially receive Antichrist as Messiah, who will deceive them. The whole point is that he must convince them that he is the actual Messiah. But they will ultimately realize they've been deceived. They will reject Antichrist and then will undergo a mass conversion to Christ, their true Messiah. This, I believe, will be the true reconciliation between Jacob, Israel, Esau, Edom at the end of time. It is also absolutely fascinating to me that Netanyahu speaks of losing the last war against Rome, presumably referring to the Jewish rebellions of the 1st and 2nd centuries, and the need to win the next one. I'd be very curious for a theologically literate interviewer to ask him who this Rome is that he seeks to defeat. Now, I want to play the other clip of him before we break down what Josh is talking about here, because he actually tells you who he thinks Rome is.
Let me give me a second to pull that up. That's a different tweet.
Yeah, it's a different tweet. This is from a few months back when Mike Pompeo, or a few years back maybe, when Mike Pompeo went to Israel.
Here we go. I'll share this tab. Okay. And here we are.
Okay, so now there's an exchange between Mike Pompeo and Benjamin Netanyahu.
We had a moving visit today to the wall. I can't resist repeating this, but I'm going to. I said,
Go louder.
No,
Secretary,
that's the
that
loudest.
last time Pompeo visited Jerusalem didn't end that well. But this is a different time. Rome and Jerusalem clashed over values with a great tragedy for the Jewish people. But the new Rome, the United States, views itself as a new Jerusalem.
Now, look, you have to think about this. You have to think about this. This is something we've been talking about on this show. The American empire is throughout the entire world. We go around, we throw in whoever we want as a we overthrow governments, we put our own guys in all over the. America is the new Roman Empire. We rule with an iron fist. We are the leaders of the world. Like, we are the empire of the world. If you look to what Israel does in the first century, they collude with Rome to crucify the Messiah. Israel has its tentacles throughout the world. They are the nation that has drunk on the blood of the martyrs, mixed. If you don't see America as the new Rome and Israel as the whore of Babylon, I don't know, man. I don't know. Benjamin Netanyahu sees it that way.
I would say you got to be careful, kind of having this right after Joshua's tweet, because Rome is the church and the remnants of
no.
actual Romanness.
So look, the Rome in the first century, like, the church is the new Israel, right? So spiritually, like, Christendom was Rome, right? But
yes,
it's the American empire is the Roman Empire of the first century that has not been christened. It's not bad. It's like this tyrannical force. It's the beast that rises up. So it's the beast that was, that is not now, but then will return. It's in Apocalypse 17:8. So it's the beast that was, is not, and will rise up from the abyss. That is what the American empire is, where the church is the new Israel. It's like spiritual Israel, and modern Israel is Israel according to the flesh. It's a tricky thing to understand.
What I'm saying is, we got to be. People could misunderstand and think that if America is the new Rome, then America is the catacon, and that's not.
No. What Josh is saying,
that the Rome that the Antichrist will fight against is the church.
Correct.
It's not America, because America will be subverted by the Jews, by the Antichrist.
The modern Israel, the Jews according to the flesh, will collude with the beast that returns to persecute the church, just like they did in the first century. Like, that's how it maps out. It's like, just like they colluded with Rome to crucify them. Like,
they used Rome as a tool to achieve their goals.
Correct. Yeah. So they're the whore that's drunk on the blood of the martyrs, but
Netanyahu and many others realized that they didn't subvert Rome enough the first time around, and it came back and bit them in the.
It's exactly what
happened.
So
now Netanyahu saying, we're not going to make that mistake again. We're going to subvert Rome, what they consider to be Rome, again, to use as a tool for their ends, but they're going to do so in a way where that tool doesn't then turn around and destroy them.
So back to Josh's tweet.
What are you looking at?
I'm just going back to Josh's tweet. So so the traditional Jewish perspective, so the catacon I want to get to. Let's see. So, more interesting, giving my study of the catacon, or the restrainer mentioned by St. Paul, which holds back the coming of Antichrist. The majority interpretation of the church fathers is that the catacon is in some sense the Roman Empire. So, like, the Roman Empire in connection with the church. So, like, the catacon, the restrainer, had to do with the Holy Roman Emperor.
Holy Roman Empire, the Roman law,
not
Roman
Rome,
traditions.
the Holy Roman Empire. Like,
except that is a continuation of the Roman Empire.
It's the baptized version of it.
One of them,
like,
yes.
Yeah, like the Holy. So, but when the church, if the church is the restrainer, the things that we are seeing happen right now, the weakening of the church, Pope starts with Pope Paul VI laying down that papal tiara. Like that is the catacomb. The church, the
it
papacy
started
is
before that, I would say.
yeah, of course, but the symbolism behind that is all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Then you have the council, and then you start having these weak documents come out, and you have pope after pope who are afraid to proclaim the truth of Christ because they're more concerned with the concerns of men than they are with the concerns of God. Pope after pope doing this. I mean, you have Leo doing it now, accepting a gay couple into the Vatican today, as James Martin is doing what he's doing. Like, this is, in my view, the church in its passion. It's like when Christ is marching to that pillar and they're beating him at the pillar. If you looked on, you'd say, that's not the Messiah. There's no way. When he's suffering on that cross, you say, there's no way that's the Messiah. What the church is going through right now, it's like that's not the church of Christ. Like, that can't be the one true church, but it is.
I mean, if you look at it, by the time Vatican II rolls around, the church is all that's remaining of Romanitas that had existed since the Roman Empire. You know, starting with the Protestant revolt starts to diminish the power of the Holy Roman Empire and the power of the church. You have the Enlightenment leading to the French Revolution, where Napoleon goes and ends up actually dissolving the Holy Roman Empire. Then you have World War I, which destroys all the traditional, institutions in Europe and ends in, you have the last Habsburg, being dethroned. And even though he wasn't technically a Holy Roman emperor at the time, he is the last of
He's
that
the
line.
lineage of it. Yeah.
Right. And then you have World War II, of course, kicks off when some remnants in Europe try to reestablish a bastardized, perverted version of some sort of traditional, Europeanness. So yeah, you can really see the last 500 years as the destruction of Romanitas, and by the time Vatican II rolls around, the church is all that's remaining, and that's why there's been such a war on the church since then.
On the church, and it's like, so even when I was on with the Sedes, I was trying to say this to them. I said, like, I know it looks like the church has completely given up, but it's like there's still the protection of the Holy Spirit. When you see, like, if it was up to these men, they would ordain women. If it was up to these men, there'd be gay marriage. But there's still something stopping these men from doing this stuff. You still have the Holy Spirit protecting the church from doing the craziest stuff. And the world still sees the Catholic Church as its number one enemy to get these things through. Like, the church may not look like Christ does when he's healing the leper. It's not like the miracles are kind of, it's not this miraculous church. We don't have stigmatist saints walking around right now. It's just the church and her passion. It's like the church is just going through something where when you look at it, you're like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of things I could look at and say that can't be the church, but it's the church. And it's just going through something right now. And I think all the things that we're seeing in the world, and especially with this question that we keep talking about, that we say every episode we don't want to talk about, but it's just, I'm not talking about it because I want to talk about it. I'm talking about it because I'm reacting to the things. Like, it's like every time I want to talk about something else, something happens where I'm like, I have to discuss this, man. It's like, I don't know. And I think that conversation with Gavin and Scott was really eye-opening. It used to bother me that the world hated the Catholic Church and not mine. Now I feel properly hated. Yeah, the world will always hate the Catholic Church. That's the thing. And it's like, look, there's things going on right now where even you as a Catholic are like, what the heck is this, man? Like, what is this? What is this stupid thing with James Martin? Like, what is this stuff? And it's just it's Christ getting spit on before the Sanhedrin is what that is. It's like the humiliation that we're going to go through as Catholics. Be prepared, guys. It's going to get much worse. And the thing is, as people are saying in the comments, they're like, we're going to look back on this time with reverence. Like, God chose us all to be alive right now. Like, God chose you to live in these insane times. The saints of old longed to live in these times. kind of crazy because like we all long for like the times past when the church was in her glory. We're not in a time where the church is in her glory, going and preaching the gospel to the world and conquering the pagan nations and gathering all things into Christ. It's just not where we are right now in salvation history. Where we are right now is a very different time. Like you see what's happening. You see the timidity of our Pope. Pray for our Pope. He's very timid. Very, very timid. And he thinks he could please everybody. And you can't please everybody. And it's like, if you don't stand for something, things are going to get very difficult going forward, kids. It's gonna get tricky, and your faith is going to be tested. You're going to see you have to remember this. Hang on, let me find it. I just put it up.
What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'm looking for the Bible verse I tweeted before. Hang on. I'm sorry, guys. I know this is terrible, but like it's for the time is coming when men will not. For the time is coming when people will not endure sound teaching, but will have itching ears. They will accumulate for themselves teachers to suit their own likings. Like that's where we are. People who don't want to endure sound doctrine. They want to hear things that make them feel good. Oh, this sounds good. Okay, yeah, let's go with this. Oh, you just have to love your neighbor. Oh, what's the big deal if the two married homosexual men get confirmed in the church? What's the big deal? Let's not use the title co-redemptrix because that could scandalize people. Let's just confirm two gay married men and bring them in. And the gay man that's coming in, his godfather is his husband. It's gonna get worse. I just like man. We should
What?
We should go back and go through the Benedict. We're not going to, but the Ratzinger interview from this 1969, where
We've done that before.
I know we have, but it's just one of those things that's good to reflect on every year. So we don't have to do it now, but he just goes in and he talks about how the church is going to lose her prestige. No longer will she be.
And you're 1,000 away, man.
Oh my gosh, you guys have to be kidding me.
So for anyone who wasn't here at the beginning, Ant's brother needs minimum 17,000 for a new boiler for his house so that his kids have hot water and heat for the winter. So where did I put that? I have it somewhere here.
If you guys just go back and watch the first 7 minutes of the show, and I just tell a personal story about why we're trying to raise money for my brother. But I just like you guys really just you have no idea how much it means to me that you guys are there for us. It's like first off, it's such a witness to Christian charity. Like in 24 hours, you guys did something that will change my brother's life. Like seriously, and to be able to give him that gift, I cannot wait. I like to keep it a secret from him for this long, but I just cannot wait to tell him that I have.
If any of you know Ant or have talked to him personally or have ever told him, hey, keep the secret, don't tell anyone this, you have to know it is literally the hardest thing in the world for him to do.
Yeah. I do have lines. Like, if you tell me, like, do not mention this on the show, like, I'll never mention it on the show. But especially because...
But keep... on the show, there was a condition there, and he will go around.
No, it's the hardest thing for me to not tell it on the show if it's a touching story or if it's something I think will move the audience. Like I'm a storyteller, right? So like I love telling stories.
Read it.
Wait, $800 away. New HVAC units are so good, but don't waste one of your 3 cries on this. You little clear. I stopped myself in the beginning of the show. I felt it coming. I was like, all right, let's get to the video.
I heard it coming.
The voice started cracking, but I didn't shed a tear. But he's my kid brother, man. You know what I'm gonna do? I want to send you a picture of me and my kid brother when we were.
Yeah, send it to me.
I'm gonna send you a picture of me and my brother.
I don't think because the only brother of yours I've met has been Joey, and of course I've seen Dominic because he's the TV star. But I've never seen Mikey, especially because you made your wife block me on Facebook.
Wait, but this picture I'm going to show you. This is me and my brother at like 19 years old. I'll send it to you on Telegram, right?
Yeah, send it to me on Telegram.
All right, I just said this is me and my brother at 19 years old. I don't even.
I've
look
seen
like
this picture.
Yeah, this don't even look like me.
No, it does look like you.
Me and Mikey had the same friends. We got in the same trouble together. Like, there was a point in my teen years where like I had problems with so many people that I wouldn't go to a party unless my brother Mikey was with me. Me and my brother Mikey brawled with like 15 guys one night, just the two of us, and we won. Like, you have no idea. My brother Mikey,
I've heard that story. You've told me that. Yeah,
he was so freaking tough, man. Like, I would go, if I wouldn't go to a party if he wasn't with me. If he was with me, I'd be like, let's go. We walked in and I was just like, I know if I'm getting hit, he's getting hit with me. Like, I just had no fear if he was with me. I was like, I don't care. If I got my brother with me, at least we're getting beat up together. Young Anthony listened to NSYNC, apparently. I was a wigger, dude. we probably had like DMX on in the background or something. Oh, those American flags in the trunk. All right, so wait, let me see if there's anything else we could do with this with this conversation before we go. And then you know what? Let's go to locals, because we got some stuff for locals. Actually,
we are gonna go to locals.
Yeah, we'll do a half hour for our locals members. Like, they deserve it. Because you put that story, that New York Post story in, and I wanted to talk about that last week.
Yeah, that's
and this is about the father who let his child die in the car.
Yeah.
There's an aspect of that story that we have to talk about. And then also, there was another one. You sent a really touching letter from one of our fans. We could read that. We'll do that on locals.
If that person isn't on locals, maybe we should read that now.
All right, so let's read that now then, and then we'll go over to locals and we'll discuss the other things. So if you guys aren't locals members, that's where we kind of do more personal stuff, and we kind of let our hair down a little bit, but and it's usually the more fun part of the show. And every time we do a local show where we're like, we don't really have anything to talk about, we wind up leaving, and I get 1,000 messages of people just going, locals tonight was the best show I've ever seen. So dear Anthony and Rob, I've been following you both on Twitter for a little while, and I just recently started listening to your shows. Thank you for the work that you're doing. You managed to address serious issues while still keeping the mood relatively light in a manner that is greatly edifying. I particularly appreciate your acknowledgement of the problems facing the younger generation. That said, these are incredibly dark times. I'm 27 and I'm married with 3 children. I'm not Catholic, but I believe Catholicism is true, and I'm praying about converting. I would appreciate your prayers, particularly for my wife, should you find the time. My wife and I currently rent rooms from my in-laws. We are blessed in that regard, but we have no idea how we'll ever be able to afford a home or own for our family. We live in Rhode Island on the Massachusetts border, where my wife's family has been since their arrival in the Mayflower, and it looks like we'll likely have to leave all that heritage behind someday to make it financially elsewhere. This troubles me because in order for my parents to make it financially, my family had to leave our home and extended family in Wisconsin and move to Pennsylvania when I was 12. Consequently, I feel as if I belong nowhere, have no real home, and unless something changes drastically, my children will grow up with the same feeling of rootlessness. As you are fully aware, most of the young men in my generation feel stuck in the same hopeless situation. At least I was blessed enough to be able to get married. Last year, it looked like Mr. Trump was on track to try to turn things around in a real and lasting manner after winning the election, but the last few months have been one open betrayal after another, and now feels as if he is openly spitting in our face. When it comes to the issues we're facing, housing costs, unemployment, mass immigration, etc., the older generation in general seem to view the young men of my generation as a bunch of losers who just need to get our act together. I won't deny that most of us are degenerate and extremely sorry excuses for men, but a lot of us do in fact see the cultural and moral decay around us, the results of our society turning its back on Christ, the failures of our fathers to be strong, faithful men, and we desperately want to change. Despite the terrible economic situation in the world today, I'm seeing more and more couples around my age choose to have bigger families, and they're not even Catholic, just devout Protestants. We are trying to work hard to support our families, and for our efforts, we are rewarded with roadblock from our government. Hatred from the immigrants who care nothing for us or our heritage, even as they reap enormous benefits from money taken from us. And worst of all, derision from our elders who should be supporting and mentoring us. As I previously stated, I am praying seriously about becoming Catholic, but the situation in the church seems to be just as bad as it is elsewhere. This does not deter me from converting. Far be it from me to criticize the hierarchy as a non-Catholic, but the bishops and cardinals appear to exist in some sort of fantasy world, impervious to the dire situation in the world today. Judging by their actions, they seem to actively want the destruction of our country, livelihoods, and heritage. I've heard statements from some of them about how migrants ought to be treated with dignity, which is true, but I have yet to hear from any of them about how mass immigration is currently destroying my generation's ability to provide for our families. They don't seem to care. In short, well, I don't know about in short, but the older generation seems to despise us. Our president has demonstrated that he does not care about us. I mean this sincerely when I ask, do the Catholic bishops hate us too? I apologize for this long, rambling, depressing email. I just don't know what to do anymore, and none of the men my age know what to do either. I'm going to be doing a lot of fasting and praying going forward. Our situation seems to be completely hopeless, and God himself is the only one who can change it now. Our society deserves to be destroyed for our wickedness, but maybe if we repent, he'll show mercy on us as he did towards the Hebrews when they gave themselves over to idolatry. Maybe not. Thank you again for all you do. I respect you both tremendously. Sincerely, Ethan.
First off, everyone pray for Ethan and his wife and their possible conversion.
And also just like when we get messages from young guys, man, it's like it just lights me up that like it was Joe Enders was talking about it today, right? Just like the bishops, man, they're just in a different world. They don't have a clue what is going on in the hearts of
they've
their
never
own
needed to
flock.
For the most part, right? I mean, and not to mean this in like a bad way, because we should care for our priests, but priests and bishops, they provide for. I'm not saying they make a lot of money, but they get housing and health care, and they don't obviously get married, and they don't have to worry about kids. And I'm not, a lot of priests know the struggles that we all go through and care about them.
Yeah.
But they cannot know them and feel them in the way that we do. It just isn't possible. Just like how I might acknowledge how difficult it is to be a priest, I will never know it in the same way a priest knows it.
Yeah. Dude, the thing is, they just have completely abandoned young men, the church. Like the church has just completely abandoned young men. They don't care at all about them. And it's so dumb on their part because the world is evangelized by men. Christ chose 12 men to be the apostles for a reason. Because if you don't win the hearts of men, you don't win the world. Like so much of what we're going through is because they've just let women take the lead in all of these things.
Yeah.
Every parish is run by women. They've just completely abandoned young men. You guys want to know why these young Catholic men are flocking to Nick Fuentes? Because he talks to them and he actually understands their problems. You're all wondering, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about this guy? This guy's actually talking about the crap they're facing. Well, you guys are off hobnobbing with your Appletinis at fancy soirees.
Not just talking about it. Whatever you think about him and some of his antics and whatnot, listen to him. Yeah. He sounds like he cares. Maybe never it's an act. I don't know, but
turn around on anything like
shut up. I definitely don't have. I definitely haven't been watching a lot of Instagram reels lately.
When I tell you guys, like Rob used to be, because Rob's initial instinct on anything is I don't like it. Like it's
yes, that is my default setting.
It's his default mode. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
But me and Jason would keep like sending over like funny clips and then and now all of a sudden Rob's like, hey, I've never seen this. And it's like Nick ranting about Catholicism and like
Not
the
ranting,
beauty
like
of
giving an
like
impassioned speech about
Christ the King. And,
yeah.
and Rob's like, all right, maybe I judge this guy a little quickly. It's pretty funny. Now listen, he's got his crazy things he said, but you know, he's like when I was in my 20s, if you guys have had a microphone in front of me in my 20s, oh my goodness, you have no idea.
If you had a microphone in front of you in your 20s, you definitely wouldn't have one in front of your face.
No, not even a chance. Not even a chance. I have one in front of me now when I worry about the things I say. So, and I really just don't think the older generation gets like the irony, the ironic humor of the younger generation, where I always thought that humor was kind of funny anyway. So like I remember when we first started doing this show, even when we talked to Trent about it, like when we had Trent Horn come on, we were talking to him and he was really worried about the irony poisoning. And I was like, I don't know, I kind of find this stuff pretty funny. Like I don't know if I'm desensitized to it, but I think they're hilarious.
It wears on me a little in general. And like some of the intentional irreverence around certain things, like I said, wears on me a little, but I guess I understand that it's being used as a tool, really, right? To break down the
And they did a pretty good job, man. They
They
broke
did.
them down some crazy barriers that were up. But Ryan says, young men are starving for authenticity and truth. They spent most of their lives being lied to and condescendingly attacked for their existence. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. Because I remember like when the Zoomer humor first started coming around, I was like, these kids are funny, man. When they like even like the texting, the way they would like calling everybody king, and like the texting has even changed since then. But it was just kind of fun. And my kids were like beside themselves that I knew like Gen Z texting. They were like losing their minds.
Yeah.
Did somebody just say it's at 17.6?
17.6.
Oh my
17.631, Ant.
All right, stop it at 18 though. I don't want any.
I can't stop it. You're the one in control.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut it down.
You can stop it at 18.
I'm gonna stop it at 18 because maybe I should let it go to 20 just for a car for him. Not for me, for him. Like because if we could get him a car. This kid, oh man, I can't tell you guys how he's going to react. I can't wait to tell him. Like this is like I'm more excited for this than I was for my kids on Christmas morning, because I know it's life changing. It's not getting your kids their first snowboard or something. Like this is
a good boiler literally lasts 20 years. Like you're setting them up for
it's going to be like a video where they take the person away and they come back and redid their house or something. Like that's the kind of reaction that he's going to have from it. So, all right, let's jump over to locals. We'll do that New York Post story because I have some things to say about that, especially for young men. Like you guys really should hear what I have to say about this, because this father left his daughter in the car and she was a toddler and she died. And the father just took his life. And there's a reason he took his life, and it wasn't just because his daughter died. And I want to get into that. So, all right, guys, thank you so much, man. This is a very long YouTube show. We usually only do an hour. I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around. This was a good show, I think, because sometimes you don't know like what you're going to talk about, and then some. Like I texted Rob before the show, and I said this is going to be a really good one tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I just knew it was. And when you see an hour and 45 minutes go by and you're like, holy cow, I can't believe that much time went by. That's how you know you had a good one. So
remember the times when we would only have 13 minutes left to talk on locals?
Right.
Because of the 2-hour limit.
We had a 2-hour limit, man. We got a little longer than that. So all right, we're gonna go over the locals. We're gonna do a short one there, probably be like 20-25 minutes, but I want to talk about that story.
Okay, I'm just gonna cut us off because I will make this quicker. So
yeah.
No,
see you guys on Tuesday.
Okay. Okay, Rumble is dead, and we are just on locals.
Bring that story up, man. This story, I've been watching this story, and I wanted to talk about it last episode, and I totally forgot to put it in the show notes.
Okay, give me a second. I'm working on locals here real quick. pulling now. Okay, got that. Okay, where was it? That's still in the Twitter, if I right.
Yeah, that's on Twitter.
I'm the one that it's actually from me, right?
Yeah, you put it in there.
Okay, I got it.
I love when Rob puts stuff in there.
Just because I'll I'll probably actually be engaged that episode.
Well, you'll engage, and especially like it's something I want to talk about too. It's like I know that'll be a good back and forth.
Okay. No, I don't want to show notifications from the
I actually don't know how he took his life. Wait,
I do. Suffocation in the car.
he did it to himself.
Carbon monoxide, yeah.
Carbon monoxide. Well, that's a pussy way out. To be honest, painless. Okay. The Arizona dad who killed himself to dodge decades in prison for leaving his 2-year-old daughter to die in a hot car took his life in a haunting echo of his heinous crime, suffocating himself in his vehicle. Christopher Schultz was 38, was found dead in his garage of the Phoenix home he shared with his wife, Dr. Erica, whatever, 5 hours after he killed himself. Exactly how he died has yet to be confirmed, but he is believed to have died from carbon monoxide poisoning. The death was previously confirmed as a suicide by police. So the thing is, this guy gets home, leaves his 2-year-old daughter in the car, goes in the house, totally forgets she's in there as he's on his Xbox surfing for porn. He killed himself out of shame, not even for taking his daughter's life, but it like the thought that his addiction to pornography is what, like, you have to think about how warped that is. Like, you disgusting degenerate, you're so addicted to porn that you left your 2-year-old in the car in Arizona on a 95-degree day, and his wife had told him multiple times, stop leaving the kids in the car. Like, this isn't just a one-time thing. Multiple times he's done this idiot knew, like, oh, don't leave the kids in the car. Like, I used to have sympathy for parents that did this, because it's like, oh man, like, especially moms who like had a bunch of kids, and like she had a crazy day going on, and she just brought all the packages in, and next thing you know, her phone rings and she totally forgets, and an hour went by. I have no sympathy whatsoever for any parent that does this anymore, because everyone knows your freaking kid can die from this now.
I never understood it prior to having kids. I definitely don't understand it now.
Like, how are you not the first thing you're saying is, where's my kid? Like, I don't get it.
Like, I don't know if it's just me, or I don't know. I always have in the back of my head like some approximate idea of where each one of my kids is. You know what I mean?
Dude, everyone knows this is a danger at this point, though. Like, this isn't some like random crazy thing that could happen, because it did before it was in the news a lot. Like, you could see maybe this happening,
but yeah,
not anymore.
before internet news and cable news and stuff, if it didn't happen in your metropolitan area, right, you weren't seeing stories on it. But now we see stories on it all the time.
All the time. And the thing is, so this even goes back to like the John Deloney show that I always
18,000.
Oh my gosh, man. The John Deloney show I watch, that I hate watch all the time. There are so many people who call in, and it's their husband. The wife accidentally went through his phone and saw the disgusting pornography he's into, like, and the women are heartbroken, because
Rightfully
this guy
so.
he presents himself as like a good man, right? And he's he does everything he's supposed to do, but in this deep dark place in his life, he's looking at some of the most disgusting crap you can imagine. This one I heard yesterday, where a woman, the husband died, he had cancer, and he always had a phone that she never like really thought to go into, and after he died, she went through his phone and saw the most horrific crap, and he was messaging prostitutes, and it's like she thought he was the greatest husband in the world, and then he dies and she gets a hold of his phone and her whole life is shattered because she has to go through this second grieving process that her husband wasn't the man she thought he was. He was really this.
You interviewed my wife on the one show, right? And she talked about how porn and infidelity just destroyed her parents' marriage.
Her parents' marriage, yeah.
You
like I especially if you are married, you men, like your freaking wife and kids should be able to look at your phone at any moment, and you never have to worry about what's on there. Like the craziest thing my wife's going to see is me trolling some Protestant. That is like if she sees my Twitter feed, that's the worst thing she's going to see.
Well, not true. There's group chats, Aunt.
Well, that's true. She's going to see a lot of N words.
The group chat between guy friends, it's
my wife would not be shocked by anything. I promise you. There's nothing in those group chats that would surprise my wife.
Yeah.
My wife has been with me for a long time.
The other day, when I was sending you, our group chat reels from Instagram, I got one from Hope. He was a Hitler edit. I'm like, did you send me a Hitler edit?
Dude, you want to know what's funny about Nicole though? Nicole's always so worried I'm gonna offend people. She's always so worried I'm going to offend. Like anytime we talk about Lila or something, like if we put Lila on the thumbnail or something, like she's just like, you're so mean. Why are you so mean to everybody? I don't like it. I'm like, shut up. Stupid broads. They don't know what's good.
Stupid broads.
You dumb broads. You don't know what captures an audience. I know what I'm doing. But it's like, Nicole's wife,
they're women. They've never had to work to capture an audience. You know what I mean? Like
you just get to sit there and look pretty. We're all
exactly. That's why Lila has an audience.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, she's like, anytime we do anything criticize, like even when we like criticize Matt Fresh, she's like, why are you being mean? I don't understand. But then like now my wife's like, he's like a little weaselly. I don't like him. That's what she said about that. She's like, he's weaselly. I don't like him. He doesn't come off as genuine.
Look, man,
I love when she breaks like that, like says something like that.
As a husband, your job is to make your wife based.
How do you think yes, that's 100% accurate. Yes, your job as a husband is to make your wife based. How do you think? First off, I'm worried Gavin's going to put a copyright on us. I don't think he should do that, because if he does, then I'm going to go full scale on Twitter and I'm just going to start.
It proves our point.
Yeah,
that instead of engaging with a theological topic, you'd rather just shut the conversation down.
I mean, he hasn't done it yet, so let's not get amped up about something that hasn't happened yet. But I am wondering if he will do that. Secondly, I'm curious. Trent watched that show. There's no way he didn't.
If not live, he will in the next.
He will, and so will Matt Frad. Those guys will watch that. Those guys will watch a show like that.
They don't.
Those are the shows those guys watch specifically,
Molly says we're the only reason anyone knows about the interview. Yeah, you're right.
Nobody, dude. I told Rob yesterday when I saw the interview, and I was just losing it. I'm like, dude, you have no idea how awkward this thing is. I'm like, it's not. First off, even going into it, I was going to fly off the handle about it, and I told Rob before the show, I was like, let's try to handle this charitably. Like, let's not just like go. I said we'll address his arguments. Let's not insult the man. Let's be very cautious how we go about this. I don't want it to come off like we're attacking him in any way. But yesterday, when I first watched it, I was like flipping out. I'm like, dude, you have to see this part. Like, Gavin brings up the Talmud, and Scott's just like, yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. Like, and then I was like, I want to do an emergency broadcast. Like, let's go. And he's like, dude, I'm going to watch the Northern Lights tonight. We're not doing that.
I'm like, feel free, but I can't be on.
So I said, and I go, you know what, dude? Nobody's going to cover this. Like, this isn't one of those topics anyone else is going to touch. Like it was ours for the taking. Nobody else was going to go near it. It was just one of those our Jewish revolution, the Jewish revolutionary spirit. I bet money he's read it. I bet money
sure.
he's read it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I will bet money Scott Hahn read that book. So I just knew.
Anyone willing to take an $18,000 bet real quick?
I'll bet the whole thing on it. Double up quick. I knew that show was going to be ours for the taking because I knew. I know. I see you go.
Bobby or Taff, I can't do that one, bud.
No, I mean, look, you guys are all in the chat. You guys see it. I don't know what's going on there. I have no idea what's going on there. I have completely distanced myself from it.
Circling completely out of control. Like just
don't know what's going on there. I don't know.
And you know more. You know more than anyone else, and even you were like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know a lot of backstory there. I won't talk about it, but it's that man. He needs help. But so I knew this show would be ours for the taking. First off, I knew nobody even watched it. Like it's got like 2,000 views on YouTube, and it's bizarre because now it's going to have a lot because I guarantee everybody that watched our show is going to go back and watch it now. But
you did tell them to, literally.
I did. It's a good interview, and if you watch it from 51 minutes to the end, it's like really interesting because every time Gavin brings something up, Scott just kind of dismisses what he's saying, and he goes, "I want to talk to you about the more important thing here." He does it in the Scott Hahn way.
Yeah.
It's very cordial. And Scott Hahn's like, yeah, you're right. You rightly point that out. But, and you know what they say about anything that comes before but. So, I was DMing with blank the day before. Then that happened. Then this stuff happened. Yeah. I just think married men, the way they interact with women publicly is like, I don't know, man. You'll never catch me simping on some chick, and never, ever, ever. I don't ever do that stuff. Like, no way. Yeah, it's bizarre behavior. And I don't know if that's like an age thing where he's just clueless and doesn't understand what it looks like, or if he's
okay. Come on, he's not an 80-year-old.
Well, it's not just that
nursing home hitting on nurses. Like
it's not just that. There's like tons of people below going, "Yo, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
and like instead of him looking and going, "All right, maybe that was a bad move," he just like he blocks them and calls them cowards.
Calls them fake name cowards and blocks them and. Like, no, we're asking, what the hell are you doing, man?
Molly says I just simp on Nick. No,
which Nick?
No, Fuentes. It's not that. It's that I first off, I do want to engage his audience a lot. Like I think it's important to those kids have mentors, right? And they don't just hear the firebrand Nick Fuentes. Because
no, she meant Cavazos.
Oh, you meant Cavazos? Oh, okay. But to the point of Fuentes, like I think it's important to try and talk to the guys that are listening to him.
Why do both the Nicks in our life have to have Hispanic names?
Wait, should we play the Cavazos clip for anybody that didn't see it?
We can.
Yeah, we gotta talk about Cavazos. We have to. Hang on. We gotta talk about Cavazos.
You tweeted that, right?
Yeah, and I said this.
I'll just go to your tweet.
Just search awkward.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
You got it? So Cavazos is on Joe McClain this morning. And I just shot a message on the thing and I said, "Hey, ask Nick if he's still MAGA." I was in the live chat. First off, I was on Joe McClain's show this morning, like on the phone. He has me call in like twice a week, just like 7:10.
Oh, so you were actually on the show prior to this?
Before Nick came on. Like,
okay.
So he had me at 7:10, and I go on and I talk for 5 minutes on anytime it's something with New York. So like if there's something with New York, Joe will ask me to like do a 5-minute call in. So this morning it was Father Martin and St. Pat's Cathedral. So he texted me last night and he was like, "Hey, you mind just calling in for 5 minutes and just talking about the Strickland thing and the thing that happened with Father Martin?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, whatever." So as he's introducing me, he's like, "And we got Nick Cavazos coming up at 7:30," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So Nick comes on, and I just shot a text in, and I go, "Ask Nick if he's still MAGA," because this is right after Trump started talking about allowing all these Chinese and Indian immigrants in.
Oh, we're all talentless hacks that we need all the Indians to come save us.
Wait, Nick says Anthony called in. Sounds like he never took his phone out of his pocket. First of all, I was under an elevated train and I dropped my phone in the truck. And I'm trying to. It is always first, and I'm
You
tired.
are a
It's 7
boomer.
o'clock in the morning. Huh?
You are a boomer.
What do you mean? Why?
Just the way you use technology.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I'm also working while I'm trying to do it, driving while I'm doing it. But so yeah, so I shot in the show in the live chat. I said, "Is Nick still MAGA?" Let's see Nick's response.
No, okay, here we go.
Thanks. That's kind of awkward. I'm going to be honest with you. Anthony Abate hanging out, asking big questions, asking big philosophical questions. Is Nick still MAGA? Which one? Does he mean Fuentes? Does he mean Cavazos? I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure which one he means.
Yeah,
Let's just be honest.
people, I'm pretty sure Anthony, he only cares about what Nick Fuentes says. He doesn't care about what Nick Cavazos says anymore. He doesn't even talk. He doesn't even talk to me anymore. So I lost my usefulness on that show, and they were like, "All right, we're gonna focus on Nick Fuentes and Groiper people." So
yeah,
all right.
What was the name of the show? I was
Like,
watching it the other day. The Griping of Catholic Inc. I think that was.
Ouch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like all they talk about now is the Groipers, and I'm just like, hi guys. Yeah, it was fun. You know, what's up, y'all? But no, yeah, is Nick still MAGA? Yeah, I would say I'm fairly critical, especially this last.
Rob, we got to have Nick back on. His feelings are. He misses us. He doesn't like that we haven't had him on. We got to get him back on. He's a little bro. We got to bring him back on.
Little bro needs to stop ankle biting then.
Stop. I think his feelings are hurt that he hasn't been invited on. I'll be honest. It's not like I don't want him on or want to talk to him. It's a little awkward with the Pelican thing.
Yeah, especially with some of the behind the scenes stuff.
But it was just a little awkward with the Pelican stuff. Like we didn't go there, and then like it just felt a little awkward. So I was just kind of giving them room to breathe, and I wanted to make sure like I never said anything negative about anybody. I wanted them to be, like that was all that was.
Yeah.
But like I want them to succeed. I want nothing but the best for them. And if Nick wants to come on and promote Pelican on our show, like I'm fine with that. It did get a little bit awkward when we said no. So
yeah.
It just got a little awkward when we turned it down because we didn't turn it down because of anybody there. Like we love all the guys there. Turned it down for personal reasons, and like it was just like it was a very big life decision that Rob and I talked about. We prayed about it, and I was like, I just don't think it's the right fit for us. But I think it's hard to not take that personally from their perspective. And like I haven't talked to Kennedy,
and it feels weird
then.
for us.
Yeah. Well, I haven't talked to Kennedy since then, and I used to talk to Kennedy all the time. So I was just kind of letting enough time go by, and I wanted them to like get on their own feet and like stabilize a little bit.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's a lot of work. We don't want to bother them while they're trying to roll out this whole brand new thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to just let a little time go by, and then I planned on calling every one of them individually. I just haven't done it yet. But I think we should get Nick back on. We'll chat with our little bro.
Can we please not talk about Trump?
No, we're not going to talk about Trump. The funny thing is, he's saying that we only care about Cavazos, but I mean, we only care about Fuentes. But Nick's been doing a lot of Groiper adjacent content.
One
little
week,
hypocritical,
and then the next week he'll be against it, and then the week after he'll be for it again. And then the week after he'll be against it. And then he'll say he's getting off social media, and then he's on social media, and then he's never gonna ever have a Twitter, and then he suddenly has a Twitter.
He's a little mixed up. He needs our mentorship, Rob. He needs our mentorship. All right, we're gonna wrap this one up. We went a little long. Tuesday we have Ryan or Thursday?
Ryan. Oh, Grant.
Yeah, Grant.
The 18th. He said the 18th, right? Is that?
We'll have to check. It's either Tuesday or Thursday we have Ryan Grant. So maybe we'll get Nick the other day. We'll find out. Oh, I'm tired.
I'll try to remind me to email the requisite guys tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll figure out what day Ryan's coming. We'll see if one of those guys want to come on. Maybe the son. The son's young, good dude. Get him on, and then
Go from there.
yeah. What'd you guys think of the show tonight? You guys like it? Set 19,000. You guys are amazing, man. Dude.
Possible idea for a future show, kind of related to the whole Gavin Hahn thing. We should get Maudsley on again soon, Father Maudsley, to talk about the whole similarity between rabbinical Judaism and Protestantism. That would be interesting.
What sucks is I would love to get Scott Hahn on, but he'll never come on with us. Like it's and
we
it
made that pretty much impossible at this point.
But the thing is, like, it'd be the most interesting interview he's ever done, or not ever, but like the most interesting interview he's doing lately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody else knows how to get to like the heart of things with him and get like the reason why is because I know his work so well, and I know the things that lit me up when I was learning them, and I would draw those out into small segments to be digestible for our audience, and I know what I would do with that. It's the people that interview him, they're just like enamored that they have Scott Hahn on, and they never know like how
Tell
to
us the
lead him.
story how you converted again for the
Yeah,
billionth time.
It's just there's so many gems in his work because I listen to all the priest conference. That's like the majority of where I've like learned stuff from him is the priest conferences, because he's teaching priests. He's not like giving a talk for a church, you know, where he's just talking to lay people and he dumbs it down. Like I've sat through 20 hours of more than that, 40 hours of priest conferences where he's going deep into like the Catholic theology of St. Paul, and it's just I wish he would talk with someone like us. But
What if we offered, instead of doing it live, offered to record it and then tell him anything he feels should be edited out, we can edit out.
I think if like the rumor even got out that I asked, I think you'd have guys behind the scenes I think Scott Hahn knows who we are. Like not because he watches us, but because he's been warned. Like I think, dude, everybody's been warned about us. I promise you.
One thing that came up in the chat that I don't think you saw was, you remember that Wretched Saints kid who got caught the same thing? Well, not with the same, but so he decided to become to not become Catholic, and now he's Oriental Orthodox.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Taffy said it. He sent me he's got a video on his YouTube.
These guys are all clowns, dude. These guys are all clowns. They just want to be influencers. They don't care about anything else. They just want to be influencers.
It's going to be funny when he realizes that the cops don't like you if you're not a cop. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
dude, it was so many of these guys just want to be like viral influencers. It's really sad. I'm telling you, I love how like small and niche our show is. I really do. I love that it's kind of just like this boutique little garage band podcast. It's not like nobody writes articles about us. We fly under the radar.
You've been in Vanity Fair.
Yeah, but they barely. It was when the Pope was like that. It was barely. They give me like a throwaway line. But we fly under the radar of like the mainstream criticism. Like they're dumb because we're the most dangerous show there is. Like honestly, like they write stuff about Taylor Marshall and Tim
5 minutes
Gordon.
ago, I want to get Scott Hahn. 5 minutes later, we're the most dangerous show there is.
What I mean is we're the most dangerous because there's young guys listening to us. Like we're talking to the future of the church, and we're way more interesting than the other freaking shows out there. We just are. We're talking about things that are just more interesting, and the guys that like us and watch us really like us and watch us. And it's like, they're either ignoring us because they don't want to bring more attention to us, or they're ignoring us because they underestimate us. It's one of the two. I don't know which. Maybe both. All right. I gotta get
One
to
thing's
sleep.
for
I got work in
sure:
the morning.
we don't have to go to no stinking Catholic Creator Conference to learn things.
Go to the next Catholic Creators Conference and bump into Han. You think he'll be there? If he's there, I'll go.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Just say I can mispronounce Katie Prejean's name right to her face.
Prejean
or whatever it is.
Oh man, she tweeted out that she was going to. She's like, am I busy? Yes. Do I have this going on? Yes. Am I making time for a lunch date with my husband? You better believe it. I wanted to say, you better be doing something for him after lunch. Just using him for a lunch date. You better have his dessert after lunch. Be a good wife. All right. Yeah, no, I'll go to the Catholic Creator Conference if Enoch is there and performing. He gets paid. All right, wrap it. Wrap it. Wrap it.